Good day. Another good article I found written by Daniel Paul, and I see he got over 3 million visitors on his website. And very interesting article about the title of it is Mi'kmaq Acadians, Friends Then and Now. From time immemorial, the pre-Columbian Mi'kmaq welcome and entertain peaceful visitors from other Turtle Island, our name for North America, First Nations to our country with open arms. Such hospitality was the result of elders implanting in the minds of succeeding generations of young children the worthy social values of a people-friendly civilization. Assuring that those values were strictly followed was a personal honor, an individual's most valued personal asset. To fail to keep one's word or to be disrespectful of others, etc., was punishable by being ostracized by peers, a fate considered worse than death. High among the values taught, and probably the one that was most conducive to assuring that such hospitable welcomes continued, was the one which acknowledged that the Great Spirit created all people equal. It prevented the development in young minds of biases against people who were different. Because of it, intolerance was not a vice harbored in the hearts of that era's Mi'kmaq. Thus, 400 years ago, when Champlain and settlers arrived on Mi'kmaq shores in 1604, they were warmly welcomed by the Mi'kmaq, and later that year by the Passamaquoddy when they wintered at the place now called St. Croix in Maine. However, it was the Mi'kmaq with whom they made first contact, and it was the Mi'kmaq with whom they had the most contact in the future years. History relates that the relationship was very warm. From almost the onset, much social contact took place, and term marriages were many. Such marriages even reached into French leadership. For instance, French Governor Charles de la Tour was married to a Mi'kmaq woman related to the before mentioned. Many Acadians today claim that the vast majority of their people have Mi'kmaq or other First Nation blood in them. It was a relationship that today's society could accomplish much from emulating. The prime reason that such a good relationship developed was very simple. French settlers respected Mi'kmaq rights and didn't try to dispossess them. In fact, in sharp contrast to the later actions of the colonial British, they requested permission to use Mi'kmaq land. Thus, propelled by mutual respect, the Mi'kmaq French alliance lasted for more than 150 years, an unmatched record between a First Nation people and Europeans in the Americas. During this period, 1505 to 1760, the language of each became the second language to the other. The Acadian language today contains many Mi'kmaq words. However, in an event occurred in 1713 that assured that within 50 years the relationship would be almost discontinued for several centuries, the English claim our land by the provisions of the Treaty of Utrecht. I don't know if I pronounced that well. Utrecht. From that point onward, without exception, they persecuted both peoples equally. In fact, they were so paranoid about the Acadian-Mi'kmaq relationship that they issued a proclamation in 1722 making it illegal for an Acadian to entertain a Mi'kmaq in any way. It was strictly enforced. The minutes of May 22nd, 1725, British Colonial Council meeting at Annapolis Royal relates just how harshly it was done. And before I continue, I want to add my comments. Is it for psychopathic people? It is not uncommon. They also are paranoid, very much paranoid. And that's the reason why. And I'm talking about the colonialists here. I'm not talking about all the British people. I'm just talking about those who were colonialists and members of secret societies who did what I'm about to read. And it is said that they were very much paranoid and they literally made it illegal for an Acadian which is a French, to entertain a Mi'kmaq in any way. And so, because they were so paranoid, that makes me really think, because I studied very much psychopaths, and it is very much psychopathic. And those words are said by a psychologist who has a master's degree in psychology. Let's continue reading. The Honorable, this is a quote, so I will read again the paragraph, so to put ourselves back to the context. In fact, they were so paranoid about the Acadian-Mi'kmaq relationship that they issued a proclamation in 1722 making it illegal for an Acadian to entertain a Mi'kmaq in any way. It was strictly enforced. The minutes of a May 22nd, 1725 British Colonial Council meeting at Annapolis Royal relates just how harshly it was done. Quote, the Honorable Lieutenant Governor John Doucet acquainted the board that Prudent Robichaud, senior inhabitant in the Cape, had entertained an Indian in his house, contrary to His Excellency's proclamation date August the 1st, 1722, that he had therefore put him in irons and in prison amongst the Indians for such heinous misdemeanor. This was to terrify the other inhabitants from clandestine practices of betraying the English subjects into Indian hands. A petition by Robichaud for release was then presented to Council for approval. The said petition being read, it is the opinion of the board, upon account of his age and having been so long in irons, that upon the offers and promises he made in his petition of putting up a security goods and other chattels for his future good behavior, he be set free. Yep, this is very much psychopathic. And what I'm about to read confirms that they were very much psychopathic indeed. During the wars of self-defense that the Mi'kmaq often engaged in with the British, many young Acadian men joined with the warriors to do battle. In fact, the bounties issued by the British for Mi'kmaq scalps were worded in such a way that it was permissible if Acadians were found to be helping the Mi'kmaq for bounty hunters to take Acadian scalps. The record shows that this was actually done. In retrospect, saying as our ancestors saw fit to welcome them with open arms, how can we say today that the ancestors of the Acadians were not welcome to our land and accepted? They were, and they interacted very civilly. Therefore, we must continue the welcome. So, for sure, this is written by a Mi'kmaq man, because he's talking about his ancestors saw fit to welcome them with open arms. Speaking about the French, how can we say today that the ancestors of the Acadians were not welcome to our land and accepted? They were, and they interacted very civilly. Therefore, we must continue the welcome. Unfortunately, the same cannot be said for the arrival of many other Europeans. They were bloodthirsty. For instance, it would be akin to Jews celebrating Hitler, for the Mi'kmaq and other First Nation peoples to celebrate the arrival dates of such individuals as Christopher Columbus and Edward Cornwallis. The genocide they begot marked them as true savages. There is absolutely no comparison whatsoever between their conduct and that of the Acadians. Thus, this summer, I'll be helping the Acadians commemorate the arrival of their ancestors to our shores. In August, I'll be giving a talk at Grand Prix. This was written back on June the 9th of 2004. The Acadian celebration to me is a celebration of survival in the face of overwhelming odds, something from experience the Mi'kmaq can relate to. Therefore, I hope to all Mi'kmaq will join with me in wishing them well. May their visiting friends and relatives have a pleasant and memorable stay. Daniel N. like Nancy Paul. I will put the link in the video description. I love what I read. I really do. Thanks for listening. In fact, there are things coming to my eyes right now. That's very good. Thanks for listening.